Hi guys, this is Park. I wanted you to know that I collaborated with our StoryCycle Genie to write this show about the 10 essential storytelling elements that make your brand narrative enthralling. It's based on my 20 years of work growing brands with the StoryCycle system. The Genie pulled from its own brand brain content playbook that I worked with it to create. This script would have taken me around, 15 to 20 hours to write the old way. With the Genie, it took about 2, and I revised about 10% of the script. One other note, I'm battling a bit of a head cold following a trip to Austin, Texas last week, so bear with me. Now let's get after it. Hello and welcome to the Business of Story. I'm your host, Park Howell. After 2 decades helping brands grow by as much as 600% with our StoryCycle system, I've discovered 10 essential elements every legendary brand story shares. Think of today's episode as your brand narrative strategy guide, built on your market knowledge, customer insights, instincts, and intuition. Now, most brands do it backwards, spending tens of thousands on bloated processes that ignore what they already know. Sound familiar? Let's flip that script. You'll learn about vibe branding, combining your emotional quotient with AI to craft these 10 story elements. And I'll show you each one through our own StoryCycle Genie brand story. By the end, you'll have a clear roadmap for authentic customer connection. When was the last time you felt truly excited about your brand story? Well, let's fix that today. Whether you choose to use the StoryCycle process or not is totally up to you, but at least consider these 10 story elements as an outline for your brand narrative strategy. I hope you'll feel the vibe. So let's begin. Element number 1 is your brand assessment. And here's why this is absolutely crucial. You cannot tell a compelling story if it's not built on a sturdy foundation. That's what this whole process is all about, and that begins with your brand assessment. For instance, let me tell you about our dream home Michelle and I built on Lake Odell in Munns Park, about 20 miles south of Flagstaff, Arizona. We designed our 3-story, 4,000 square foot home from scratch. It's totally on brand for us. Michelle's loft studio and reading room, our central living space with a glacier lake blue kitchen that's as striking as it is functional. The redwood deck that feels like a private suite for live National Geographic reality TV show as we look over Odell Lake. And my basement office, exercise garage with sauna, and recording studio for this show. Everyone who visits comments how comfortable and welcoming our home is, which is right on brand for how Michelle and I like to entertain. But here's the thing, we had a problem. The existing homes around us on the lakeshore were sinking because they were built decades ago when building codes didn't account for the unstable volcanic soil northern Arizona is known for. So before we could build, we assessed the situation and invested in an extra deep and sturdy foundation to make sure our home wasn't doomed to costly settling. Lots of brands make a critical mistake. They skip building their foundational brand story and jump straight into creative brainstorming. That's like building a brand that is, a house of cards. This is why your brand assessment is so important. It reveals how you're currently showing up in the world, and more importantly, whether that representation is accurate, unique, authentic, and stable. Now let me show you how this played out for us at the StoryCycle Genie. When we conducted our brand assessment for the Genie, we discovered something that completely changed our direction. Initially, we were focused on helping you craft a vibrant brand story strategy in minutes, not months, which is really at the core of our offering. But we realized something else during the assessment. Traditional branding processes are creating beautiful, impressive strategies that somehow don't feel authentic to the business owners who commissioned them. We kept seeing this pattern everywhere. complex processes that ignored the deep customer understanding these business owners had developed through years of market interaction. The old way of branding often tells successful entrepreneurs that their business intuition is wrong. Can you imagine? This assessment became the foundation of what we now call vibe branding. We realized the market desperately needed collaboration between human emotional intelligence and artificial intelligence. Not replacement of human insights with creative abstraction, but embellishment of them. The key insight here is that your brand assessment should reveal not just what you do, but what unique market problem you've discovered that nobody else is solving. That's where your authentic story begins. It's like setting the stage for Act 1 of your epic brand story, the first step in building your sturdy foundation. Your brand assessment should validate what you're doing well, reveal the gaps and missed opportunities you can easily repair, and inspire you with fresh ways to think about your brand story. And that's exactly what the StoryCycle Genie does. It generates in under 2 minutes a brand assessment for you by simply inviting it to visit your website. Check it out. All right, let's move on to element number 2, name your audiences. But here's the part that most brands get wrong about naming their audience. You're not just identifying demographics or creating buyer personas. You are uncovering the emotional triggers that drive 80% of their decisions, 80% of your revenue. Your audience is the hero of your brand story, not you. This means understanding their emotional triggers, their challenges, fears, frustrations, and aspirations at a level that lets you speak directly to their hearts, not just their heads. For the StoryCycle Genie, we identified 3 distinct hero audiences, and I want you to notice how specific this gets. The first audience for the StoryCycle Genie is visionary founders and or business owners for small to medium-sized businesses. These are people who feel genuinely frustrated by complex branding processes that ignore their hard-earned business intuition. The second audience is enterprise-level chief marketing officers and or sales enablement professionals. They need sophisticated strategy that delivers immediate market impact without overwhelming their teams. The third audience is premium ad agency professionals and or marketing consultants who want to deliver exceptional client results while maintaining profitable operations. Notice we didn't just say business owners or marketing professionals. We identified the exact emotional journey each audience experiences, from feeling overwhelmed by traditional brand complexity to experiencing what we call the overjoy effect of vibe branding with the StoryCycle Genie. Each of these heroes has a different starting point, but they all share the same destination: authentic brand development that feels exciting instead of overwhelming, and done in minutes, not months, at a fraction of the cost of the old traditional way of branding. Does this resonate with you? Now, here's the key insight. When you truly understand your audience's emotional triggers, your messaging becomes magnetic instead of generic. You're speaking to their hearts, not just their business needs. So write down your top 3 audiences, the heroes in your brand story, and make a list of their challenges, their fears, their frustrations, and their aspirations. These emotions will become levers you'll use in your brand storytelling. Okay, let's move on to brand storytelling element number 3, and this is where the real magic happens. It's when you place your audiences at the center of your stories by crafting your foundational ABT statements for each one of them. The ABT is the DNA of storytelling, and it is at the core of the StoryCycle Genie process. It works because it uses the 3 forces of story of agreement, contradiction, and consequence that our primal, pattern-seeking, problem-solving, decision-making, buying limbic brain adores to create meaning for your brand. When you write your ABTs or let the StoryCycle Genie do that for you, You are capturing what your audience wants and why it is emotionally important to them. But then you're revealing what they're frustrated about, what problem you are going to solve for them, and therefore how your brand resolves that tension, how you are uniquely positioned to help them get what they want. This isn't just a formula. It's the foundation of every compelling story ever told, from Shakespeare to Star Wars, from Apple to Nike, from your competition to your brand story. And guess what? The ABT is one of the foundational narrative frameworks that drives everything that happens inside the StoryCycle Genie. So let me give you an example with our ABT for visionary founders, and I want you to feel the emotional journey this creates. Here we go. Quote, as a visionary founder with deep customer understanding, you want exceptional brand development that creates authentic customer connection and the confidence that comes from professional brand strategy. But you feel frustrated because traditional branding requires months of complex processes that ignore your business intuition, forcing you through abstract exercises when you need clarity and forward momentum now. Therefore, you can now transform overwhelm into overjoy using vibe branding through the StoryCycle Genie, and you can do it in minutes, not months, at a fraction of the cost of the old way of branding. Do you feel that emotional arc? We start by validating their desire and acknowledging why it matters emotionally. Then we introduce the tension they're experiencing, that frustration with processes that ignore their expertise. Finally, we position our solution as the resolution to that specific tension. This isn't about features and benefits. This is about emotional transformation from frustration to excitement, from overwhelm to overjoy, from exhaustion to enthrallment. We created similar ABT statements for each of our 3 hero audiences, and each one follows this same emotional journey while addressing their specific context. We want them to feel the vibe. So the key insight here for you is your ABT statement should feel like you're reading your customer's mind. When they hear it, they should think, finally, someone who understands exactly what I'm going through. One other thing I'd like to mention about the powerful structure of the small but mighty ABT framework is that it articulates the 3 forces of trust building with your customers. You demonstrate that you understand who they are, appreciate what's important to them and why, and empathize with the problem they must overcome to get what they want. What's in it for them? Understanding, appreciation, and empathy are the 3 forces of trust building. So now that you've written down your top 3 audiences, write an ABT for each audience based on their emotional triggers and feel how it works for you. Okay, let's move on to the 4th essential brand story element, and that is to create a powerful foundation in your vibe branding process by crafting your brand position statement. This is where most brands completely miss the mark. They focus on what they do instead of how they uniquely solve the problem revealed in their ABTs that they've written about their customers. Your position statement should make it crystal clear why your brand is the only way to solve their problem. It's not about being better. It's about being different in a way that matters deeply to your hero, to your audience. Our position statement reads, quote, "The StoryCycle Genie pioneers vibe branding as the only platform where your human emotional quotient collaborates with artificial intelligence, guided by the proven StoryCycle system narrative framework to craft a vibrant brand story in minutes, not months. Create brilliant marketing strategy in a flash and produce compelling content that converts instantly." Notice the specificity here. We're not just another branding tool or another AI platform. We're the only solution that combines human emotional intelligence with artificial intelligence through proven narrative frameworks. That combination, human EQ times AI plus proven storytelling methodology, is uniquely our own. No one else can make that exact claim because no one else has built this specific solution. The position statement also addresses the core tension from our ABT, the frustration with lengthy, complex processes. We're promising minutes, not months, which directly resolves their time and complexity concerns. Is this making sense? Yeah, I hope so. So the key insight here is your position statement should make it impossible for prospects to get your exact solution anywhere else. If they can't get something similar from a competitor, well, your positioning needs more work. So here's what you do. You look at those top 3 audiences that you've identified. You've outlined maybe a whole bullet list for each one of their emotional triggers, including their challenges, their fears, their frustrations, and their aspirations. You take that intel and you write 3 different and, but, therefore statements, one each for each audience. And then you boil that all down into creating your position statement. Now, that might feel like a lot of work, and it could take you several hours to get through that, or just simply jump on the StoryCycle Genie, and it will do it for you in just a couple of minutes. And again, what it's going to do is validate what you're already doing well. It's going to highlight and reveal the gaps and missed opportunities that you can quickly fix, and it's going to inspire you with new ways of thinking. If you run it through, it'll probably get you about 90% there, and then you'll need to bring 100% of your energy to put the final ribbon on that last 10%. That's a lot of percentages going on. I think it's like a 200% ROI, right? Anyways, let's move on to element number 5, declaring your unique value proposition. This is what I call the knockout punch for your brand story. This isn't what you make, it's what you make happen in your customers' lives, distilled into its most compelling and memorable form. Your UVP should be concise enough to remember instantly, but powerful enough to create immediate curiosity and interest. Think of it as your brand's one-floor elevator pitch distilled to its absolute essence. Our UVP is elegantly simple but incredibly powerful, and it goes: StoryCycle Genie, build your vibrant brand story in a flash. Vibrant speaks to authenticity, energy, and life, the opposite of those sterile corporate brand strategies that feel disconnected from reality. Flash promises speed without sacrificing quality, directly addressing the minutes, not months positioning. Together, these words communicate complete transformation from overwhelming complexity to exciting possibility. When someone hears this UVP, they immediately understand we're offering something fundamentally different from traditional branding approaches. The word flash also connects to our magician archetype, which we'll talk about in a minute. There's something almost magical about transforming months of complex work into minutes of inspired creation. And it's a fun way to illustrate what the genie does. Fulfills your wish in a flash. Voila, right? So the key insight here is that if your unique value proposition, your UVP, doesn't create immediate curiosity and excitement, it needs more work. People should want to know more the moment they hear it. So what is a UVP for your brand? I'm always so surprised when I ask some major companies what their UVP is, and they don't have one. Well, the StoryCycle Genie will certainly help you get one. So how's this all landing for you so far? Making sense? Building the foundation around your brand story using these essential building blocks, these 10 story elements? Well, let's jump in to number 6. Define your brand's personality, or what I call the OO exercise. And this is where your brand transforms from a business entity into a living, breathing personality that people can connect with emotionally. Think of the OO exercise as uncovering and claiming your brand personality traits. Here's how you do it. You start by identifying 9 one-word descriptors in 3 categories: your organization, how your brand operates, your offering, what customers experience while working with you, and their outcomes, what customers receive from that experience. Hence the name OO or OOO, organization, offering, and outcomes. You're going to love this. These aren't just creative adjectives, they're storytelling themes. Find real-world anecdotes that show how you've solved a customer's problem based on each of the 9 personality traits. When your entire team understands these personality traits and shares short stories on how you deliver on each of these traits, your content marketing feels authentically connected to your brand. And remember, these stories are not about what you make, but what you make happen in the lives of your colleagues, in your customers' lives, and in the communities you serve. They're the themes that you'll use to create your storytelling bank. Now, let me walk you through our 9 one-word descriptors and notice how they all support the transformation from overwhelm to overjoy. The StoryCycle Genie organization traits are pioneering, enlightening, and comprehensive. We're first to the market with Vibe branding methodology, democratizing world-class branding for every business. We illuminate the path from overwhelm to overjoy, and we deliver complete brand ecosystems rather than partial solutions. Our offering traits are intuitive, transformative, and immediate. The collaboration between human and AI feels effortless and natural, even intuitive. The experience transforms frustration into excitement, and results happen in minutes instead of months. And our outcome traits are clarity, velocity, and enthrallment. Business intuition becomes clear foundational strategy. Months of developments compress into minutes of creation, and the results captivate audiences in ways that create genuine connection. Every single word supports our core promise of transforming overwhelm into overjoy. When our team collaborates with the StoryCycle Genie to create content, write copy, or develop features, these 9 words guide every decision and trigger the stories we want to tell. So the key insight here? Well, when every one of your team members can describe your brand using your 9 words, your messaging becomes naturally consistent and authentically powerful across every touch point. So take a moment to write down your 9 descriptors that become your brand personality traits. It's 3 words that describe your organization, 3 words that describe your offering, and 3 words that describe the outcomes your customers achieve with you. So everyone goes, ooh. Well, let's move on to element number 7, which is revealing your brand's North Star, the emotional promise and physical gift that focuses all of your messaging like a laser beam. From your 9 personality traits, you now extract the single word that captures your emotional promise. And what I mean by that is, what do people feel and experience emotionally whenever they come in contact with your brand? And again, this can be your colleagues, your customers, and the communities you serve. Then, from that emotional promise, I want you to describe the physical gift in 1 word. And your physical gift is, what is the measurable outcome that is created by working with your brand that really pays off and supports the emotional promise? This is incredibly powerful because it gives you clarity filters for every business decision. Does this marketing message support our emotional promise? Does this feature deliver our physical gift? If the answer is no, well, then don't do it. Our emotional promise is enthralling, or to be enthralled. We create experiences that captivate and engage people at the deepest levels. Every interaction with our brand should contribute to that sense of being enthralled by the possibilities. We saw how the first users of the StoryCycle Genie were enthralled by their near instant intel they got on how their brand was showing up in the world. Again, the Genie validated what they were doing well, revealed gaps they could easily fix, and inspired them with fresh ways to tell their brand story. I especially like the emotional promise of being enthralled because enthrall means creating fascinated attention for something. And isn't that what we all want? Our customers' fascinated attention on our brand story? Our physical gift is overjoy, the measurable transformation from feeling overwhelmed by branding complexity to feeling genuinely excited about your brand story and its potential, and being overjoyed by the first impact your newly defined and refined brand story can have on your growth. Think about how powerful this is as a measuring stick. Every piece of content we create, every feature we develop, every customer interaction we design should contribute to an enthralling experience that generates overjoy in the user. When a customer finishes working with the StoryCycle Genie, they shouldn't just have a brand strategy. They should feel overjoyed about their brand's potential to create authentic customer connections. Now, this isn't just some marketing language or mumbo jumbo. This is actually our operational philosophy. We measure success by whether we're delivering enthralling experiences that create overjoy. So the key insight here is that when you focus your entire brand on delivering one emotional promise measured by a captivating physical gift, your marketing becomes exponentially more powerful because every element reinforces the same core message. What emotional promise and physical gift does your brand uniquely provide to all of those who engage with you? Well, let's take a moment to hear from some StoryCycle Genie users who are being enthralled by the StoryCycle Genie experience and overjoyed by the outcomes it creates for them.
This son of a bitch. I gotta tell you, it is outstanding. So congratulations for what you've built.
When I gave it feedback, I just loved the language that it presented back. It was very conversational. It was very relatable. It was like, that's a great point. I didn't think about that.
I couldn't promote it more to people listening. Like, you got to try this thing out. It's really spooky good.
Honestly, it gave me even more than I anticipated. Like, I don't have a blank slate, so I've got so much to use to work with. It's awesome. Thank you. I'm so glad I was able to be a part of this.
Yeah, it's something that I feel would be useful to anybody who, like me, wants to fine-tune their messaging, wants to ensure that anything they release is on brand. Just the utility of it is off the charts. So I can't wait to get my hands on it.
I love it. I mean, it's genius, right? I mean, what's not to love about it?
I don't know about you, but I'm pretty enthralled by those stories. Now, the eighth essential storytelling element to build a stout foundation for your brand is when you identify your brand archetypes. This is where your brand gains a consistent personality that resonates across all touch points and creates deep psychological connection with your audiences. You want to claim one primary archetype and two secondary archetypes that inform the consistent look, tone, voice, and feel of all of your communications. Archetypes work because they tap into universal human psychology. When your audience recognizes your archetypal pattern, they'll instinctively understand how to relate to your brand. Now, our primary archetype is the magician. We transform overwhelming complexity into intuitive simplicity. That's an alchemical transformation that empowers our users to achieve what seemed impossible before. The magician archetype is perfect for us because we're literally transforming one state into another, overwhelm into overjoy, complexity into clarity, months into minutes. There's just something genuinely magical about watching business intuition become professional brand strategy in real time. Our secondary archetypes are the creator and the rebel, and these add crucial dimensions to our personality. The creator represents our innovative approach to pioneering breakthrough solutions. We're not just using existing methods, we're creating entirely new approaches to brand development that didn't exist before. And they're all based on a proven story structure of the StoryCycle system that will connect with your audiences and convert them to action. We've seen that happen over the past 20 years of using the StoryCycle system. Now, our other secondary archetype is the rebel. The rebel represents how we're liberating businesses from traditional complexity with confident irreverence. We're not politely suggesting improvements to existing systems. We're boldly declaring that the entire traditional approach is backwards, and we want to disrupt that with vibe branding, which is truly the way forward from here on out. This combination creates a personality that's transformative like the magician, innovative like the creator, and revolutionary like the rebel. Every communication channel, every piece of content, every customer interaction expresses these archetypal traits consistently. When someone encounters our brand, they immediately sense this personality blend, the transformative power, the innovative approach, and the revolutionary confidence. So the key insight here is that when your archetypal personality is clear and consistent, your audience develops an emotional relationship with your brand that goes far beyond features and benefits. They connect with who you are, not just what you do. So what are your authentic personality archetypes and how do they show up in your brand storytelling? The Genie will reveal those for you. Its archetype developing agent is guided by the 12 foundational personality archetype classes developed by famed Swiss psychologist Carl Jung. And then it dives deeper, assessing 64 adjacent archetypes, roughly 5 archetypes in each class, to find the authentic expression of your brand. Now that you've created your archetypal personality profile, let's move on to the essential brand story element number 9, and that is to proclaim your brand purpose. You're going to write a brand purpose statement that answers the most important question in business. Why do you exist beyond making money? How do you elevate your colleagues, your customers, and the communities you serve, and yourself in the process? People buy with their hearts and they justify their purchases with their heads, so your purpose statement speaks directly to their emotional decision-making. This isn't corporate social responsibility language or DEI. It's the authentic reason your brand elevates the lives of everyone it touches. To us, our purpose statement is beautifully simple and profoundly meaningful. It states, "The StoryCycle Genie exists to enthrall people as they live into and prosper from their most powerful stories." Notice what this says about our deeper mission. We don't just create brand strategies or generate marketing content. We help people discover and live into stories that transform their businesses and their lives. When you succeed using our Vibe branding methodology through the StoryCycle Genie, you're not just growing revenue or improving marketing results. You are prospering from your most authentic, powerful story. The story that was always there, based on your business wisdom, market acumen, and customer insights, but maybe never really properly articulated or strategically implemented. The word enthrall appears in both our emotional promise and our purpose statement because it captures something essential about what we do. We don't just inform or educate. We create experiences that captivate people and help them see new possibilities for their brands and their businesses. Every customer success story validates this purpose. When someone transforms their business using the StoryCycle system that is guiding the StoryCycle Genie, then they are living proof that people can prosper from their most powerful stories. The key insight here is that your purpose statement should make your team proud to work there and your customers excited to be associated with your vision, with your mission, and ultimately with your brand. Remember, we're trying to build that fascinated attention for your brand. And your position statement should feel like something worth dedicating your professional life to achieving. So start writing your brand purpose statement now with these 3 words. First, state your brand name, followed by exists to, like we did. The StoryCycle system exists to enthrall people as they live into and prosper from their most powerful stories. What does your brand exist to do? Finally, element number 10, to build your foundational brand story, and that is to bring everything together in your overarching brand narrative. This weaves all 9 previous elements into a cohesive story that becomes the foundation for all of your marketing, your sales, and your customer communications. Your brand narrative should read like a compelling story that positions your audience as the hero, acknowledges their challenges with empathy, and presents your brand as the wise guide who helps them achieve their desired transformation. Our brand narrative starts by immediately acknowledging our hero's frustration. Quote, "Here's the frustrating truth about traditional branding. It's difficult, overwhelming, and mind-numbingly complex." Then we validate their experience. While you've spent years building customer relationships and testing market responses, you're subjected to abstract creative exercises that ignore your trusted intuition. You'll spend tens of thousands of dollars and tons of time to discover what you probably already know but just haven't codified and implemented. Then we introduce the transformation. That backwards approach ends now, introducing vibe branding, where your human emotional quotient collaborates with artificial intelligence, leveraging the proven StoryCycle system through the StoryCycle Genie. Then we provide proof and differentiation. Quote, "Built on 20 plus years of using the StoryCycle system to grow brands by as much as 600% and the ABT framework, your story is amplified through story structures human brains are hardwired to follow. The StoryCycle Genie is the only platform that cracks this code through 3 systematic phases. Build a vibrant brand brain, craft a brilliant marketing strategy, and create captivating content that converts." And then we conclude with the ultimate transformation. Quote, "We call this the overjoy effect, where your respected business intuition generates professional brand development through proven methodology. You experience transformation from overwhelmed to overjoyed by creating an enthralling story and experience for your brand." Notice how this narrative incorporates every element we've discussed so far. The audience challenges, the ABT structure, the unique positioning, the personality traits, the emotional promise, the physical gift, the archetypal personality, and the deeper purpose. So why does this all matter? I mean, what is the key insight here? Well, your brand narrative should feel like the story your customers have been waiting to hear their whole lives. The story that finally explains why they've been frustrated and how they can achieve the transformation they've been seeking. Notice how each element builds on the previous one. Your brand assessment reveals the market opportunity that only you can see. Your audience identification creates your heroes and their emotional journey. Your ABT statement structures that journey into a compelling narrative. Your position statement claims your unique territory, your unique authority. Your UVP distills that positioning into memorable impact. Your personality traits humanize your brand. Your promise and gift focus your messaging. Your archetypes create consistent emotional connection. Your purpose elevates the relationship beyond transactions. And your brand narrative weaves it all together into a story that enthralls everyone who encounters it. And notice how the StoryCycle Genie story demonstrates something crucial. When these elements align authentically, they create what we call magnetic brand power. Every piece works together to attract your ideal customers naturally, without manipulation and without pressure. That's what vibe branding is all about. Okay, so if you were feeling the vibe about applying this framework to your own brand, and I hope you are, I want to give you a practical next step that can transform your business. Visit StoryCycleGenie.ai and experience Vibe branding for yourself. See how your business intuition can collaborate with AI to create your own enthralling brand story using these exact 10 elements. Don't spend months and tens of thousands of dollars on traditional branding processes that ignore what you already know about your customers. Instead, experience the overjoy effect as your business insights transform into professional brand strategy that feels authentically yours. And if you are not 100% enthralled with the value that Genie creates for you, we will refund 100% of your first month's subscription. And in that first month's subscription, you can build your entire brand brain, some marketing strategy, and even some content to get you rolling. So again, if you are not 100% enthralled by the StoryCycle Genie in that first month, we will refund 100% of that month's subscription. All reward, no risk. I hope that fascinates your attention. Remember that the goal isn't to impress stakeholders with complex creative strategies. The goal is to create authentic connection with customers who become genuinely excited about being a part of your story. Here's my final thought, and I want you to really let this sink in. Your brand story isn't just marketing. It's not just positioning or messaging or creative strategy. Your brand story is the foundation for every relationship you build with customers, with employees, with partners, with everyone who encounters your business. When that story becomes authentically enthralling, everything else falls into place naturally. Sales conversations become easier because prospects already understand and connect with your story. Employee recruitment improves because people want to be part of something meaningful. Customer loyalty deepens because they're not just buying products, they're participating in a story they believe in. That's exactly what happens when you transform business intuition into magnetic brand power using the 10 essential story elements. Because your brand is a story people tell about you when you are not in the room. So you want to make sure they're telling the right story. And that brand story, your brand story, must be built on a solid foundation. You can start building that foundation right now at StoryCycleGenie.ai. Thanks for listening, and I hope you have enjoyed this exploration of the 10 essential storytelling elements that create an epic brand narrative strategy. Feel free to share this show with anyone you know who is in the brand development process right now, because we can turn that overwhelming prospect of developing that brand story into an overjoyed experience. Join me next Monday when I'll have another story artist right here to help you craft and tell compelling stories that sell. And until then, remember that the most potent story you will ever tell is the story you tell yourself. So make that one epic. Thanks so much for listening.